Hi, now let's add some content onto the layout we created earlier. You should have an idea of let's say a site that you want to create, or maybe you want to create a site for yourself, for an imaginary or fictional company, something that can fit that layout. Okay, let's get started. This is how our layout looks at the moment. I already have Twitter Bootstrap sites open, and simply have to type this address, getbootstrap.com. When you get there, you simply click on components. While on the components page, let's head over to the page header. Simply click page header. So Twitter tells you that in case you want to add a page header, something that looks like this, you basically need to have a div element, and then you add a class page header to it. Then inside whatever you type, that is now your own. Let's add a page header to our top row. Now notice that Bootstrap doesn't tell you that because you want to add this page header class, it does not tell you that now replace the one that you already there. No, because in CSS classes can be shared on elements, unlike IDs. Now to share a class, you simply just after the end of the your first class, add a space, like that, then type page header like that. So notice now we have two classes, row, then page header, and what is separating them is simply a space. Now save your changes, then see what happens to our layout. There we are. So what the page header does is to add this horizontal line, which separates the topmost part of our layout from whatever is below it, well, visually. So navigation, next thing that we're going to do is to add a navigation. When you go back to components, Bootstrap, notice that we have a number of ways to add navigation using navs. So I'll demonstrate using the navs. Now to add a navigation, something like this, Bootstrap tells you that first of all you need to have markup like this, or your navigation should look something like this. So imagine this without the classes. Before even bothering out what classes to add, you should have an ordered list or an ordered list, then a list item, and each of those list items should have a link. Then you can go ahead and add the classes. Well, so let's add the unordered list, then add the list items. This is where our navigation is gonna be. So let's use the design area right here, highlight the word navigation here, and then in the properties window, I simply click on the unordered list icon right here. If you can't see the properties window, go to window and then click on properties, or simply press Ctrl F3 on your keyboard. So after highlighting, you click the unordered list. Notice what is happening in your code area. We have the unordered list and a list item, the first list item navigation here. So I'm going to replace this with an item, home, then you can add others by pressing enter, services. Nothing of course happens right this side until you save your changes. Products, about us, contact us. That should do. When I click inside the code area, you can see that we now have the list items. So let's reorganize this first one. Pressing delete to do that. Save changes, so that we have a clean code. Bootstrap tells you that for you to turn this into a nice looking navigation, you would have to have, besides the unordered list, the list item, you need to also have the anchor element added inside each list item. So this is where we'll do that from. Let's use the design area, highlight home. Well, hash is simply a placeholder. If you put hash, it basically means you want home to simply act as a link, but clicking on it won't take you anywhere. Then you can later on add the pages that you want to link to, or the sites that you want to link to. So for example, if I home basically would be the index page of your site. You can do that from here. Browse for file and then index right there. So it would be anchor element reference to the index.php page, which is right here in your files panel. Notice that we don't have the services page, don't have all these other ones, so we are going to use the placeholder instead, the hash. So simply highlight in the link property, hash, enter. Do the same thing for all the rest. So we have to cater for each of them individually. I know you might want to be creative enough to highlight all of them at the same time, and you want to turn all of them into a link separately. Well, that won't happen because it will turn this into one link. So you want to make sure that each one has a link element attached to it. Okay, save your changes, then preview, refresh your site, and then see. So we have all of them acting as links, but these are basic links, and they are in no way styled by Bootstrap. So Bootstrap tells you that in order to style them, add these two classes, nav, then nav tabs. Let's do that. Well, you have two options. You could simply type it there, ul space class nav tabs, and that's how we shall be doing it. You can as well use the properties window, and in the class property you specify nav. The disadvantage with the properties window is that you can only specify one class at a time, and yet Bootstrap tells you that you need two classes: one the nav and two the nav tabs. Add a space, nav tabs, then save your changes, and that's exactly how your navigation will look like. Preview your site. There we are. So as you can see, by default the nav tabs classes will add this underline, which we already have right there. However, Bootstrap has another option. Look at nav pills. Nav pills is another way of creating a navigation. There is nav, then nav pills. So we'll simply change, instead of nav tabs, change that to pills, and our navigation will look something like that. Let's do that. Change that to pills. Yeah, and that is how you create a navigation. Let's add something else. This time we're going to add a jumbotron. Bootstrap tells you all you have to do is add class jumbotron to that if element, and whatever you put inside, that is your business. Okay. So let's add the jumbotron class. We're going to add it right here onto the banner column, given that it spans the entire container. So add it right there. Jumbotron, and we have our jumbotron. But let's see, let's add an h1 tag. highlight this and format that into H1. I can remove this. Future goes here. Save your changes. See that? We could add a line break. So to add a line break, you simply press, rather you click whatever you want to add the line break from, and you press Shift Enter while you are in your design area. So then you can add whatever you want in the line break. We are just getting started. Let's save your changes. There we are. We're just getting started. So we're going to turn this into something smaller. So we use the small element. Class small. Okay, there. Now, just like let me demo how to add a button. You can see, to add a button, you can simply copy and paste this entire code without the paragraph, rather this entire element, the link element, without the paragraph tags or with the paragraph tags, whatever. Okay, let's just highlight all of it, copy it. Okay. At the end of the H1, because remember we have copied code, we don't want to paste the code in the design area. We paste the code in the code area. So paste it right there. There we are. Learn more. No. Join us. Instead of learn more, join us. There we are. If you go to the CSS page, you'll notice that besides button primary, we have other button styles like button success. So we could change this to success to have a green button. We could have button info to have a cyan color. We could have button danger to have the red button, and we could have button primer, rather default, to have the gray color. Is it gray or is it not saying properly? Yeah, it's gray. Then there's also button warning. That should be orange, and I think there we are. So we can change the colors in that way. Notice that we have an anchor. It has a class, and in that class we have the btn standing for button, and then another class, button warning. And the reason why this button is large, because that's not the default size of the button, is because we have button -ld, meaning large. We could make it actually extra small, maybe that, or even small. You see that? There's also button SM for small, and so forth. Okay. So you can choose whatever color according to how you have thought about your colors. Now that I've showed you how to use Bootstrap to style your site, you can go ahead and try out other Bootstrap components and CSS styles. They're all listed here on the right. So you basically just click on whichever you want to try out, and then you go ahead. Have fun using Bootstrap.